When team says we are multi-tenant, we add a tenant ID column, I pause because that's not multi-tenancy, that's filtering. True multi-tenancy is an architecture thinking, not just schema design. Let's unpack this properly. One conception. Many systems looks like shared database, shared tables, and tenant ID column in every table. Where tenant ID is equal to what? Inquiry. Technically correct, but architecturally incorrect because real multi-tenancy impacts far more than data separation. What it really means and how the architectural dimensions are defined for this. So first, data isolation strategy we need to define. It's not just a separation, it's about performance isolations, backup restore for tenant, compliance boundaries, migration flexibility. Can you move one tenant to separate database without rewriting business logic? That's real architectural maturity. Second, application layer design. Multi-tenancy should not create code branching chaos. Bad pattern. How? If tenant ID, if tenant equal to XYZ or enterprise A or enterprise B, this is not a good pattern. So what good pattern is? Configurations driven behavior we need to incorporate, features flag we need to add, metadata control capability. The goal is one code base, different behavior via configurations instead of hard coded values. Third, performance engineering. At scale, tenants behave differently. Some have 10 users, generate small workloads. Others have 5,000 users or 10,000 users, generates heavy queries and trigger large exports. If your indexing and caching and monitoring are not tenant aware or not tenant based configured, then performance issue becomes invisible until customer complain. Multi-tenancy requires per tenant observability. We'll talk observability later on another topic. Fourth, security and governance. Truly, multi-tenancy means a row level isolation, access control boundaries, audit logs per tenant, encryption policies, data separation must be enforceable, not assumed. Trust is not architectural control. Fifth, lifetime management. This is where many systems silently fail. Ask yourself, how is your tenant provision? How are resources allocated? How do you scale heavy tenants or any heavy workloads? How do you onboard, offboard safety? Can you achieve data independently? Multi-tenancy is lifecycle design, not table design. Let's take a real world scenario. A SaaS product starts simple, shared database, shared schema, let's say tenant underscore ID, tenant ID. Everything works until one enterprise customer demands a dedicated database, another requires regional data storage, and third needs performance isolation. If tenant logic is deeply coupled to infrastructure, refactoring becomes painful. If tenant abstractions was designed early, migration becomes controlled. That's the difference between reactive engineering and strategic architectures. In simple test for your systems, have you done this before? If not, then please do. If you remove the tenant ID column tomorrow, what your architecture still clearly separate tenant at the design level? If the answer is no, your system depends on filtering, not architectural. Practical reflections. If you are building a scaling SaaS, is tenant awareness centralized? Is performance measured per tenant? Is customization configurable driven or custom based?